So with VA home loan, how much of a factor does someone's credit score take into account? And I mean, where should somebody be?
So a lot of lenders will tell you that the minimum VA credit score is a 640 or 660 or 620 or 580. The VA loan was created without a minimum credit score. So the Veterans Administration Home Loan Benefit doesn't have a credit score minimum requirement. The VA doesn't lend the money though. Lenders lend the money. So they are the ones that accept the risk, right? We can talk about how the VA loan guarantee works another time. That's a very kind of deep dive conversation. But when you're talking about credit score, the minimum credit score that some lenders will use is 580. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to get a loan. That means that, okay, we'll consider down to a 580, but there better be some really strong compensating factors as to why you're there, right? Just because you decided not to pay your bills anymore and, I was just kind of, that's not going to work.
They're not going to look fondly on that. No.
But, hey, Rick, my credit score dropped and I had a PTSD trigger, had some serious issues come up. And there was a period of 12 months that I had a tough time. I was dealing with some mental health issues. And look, here's 12 months, Rick. My credit was terrible, 590. I've always paid my rent on time. I can document that, right? Mm-hmm. One thing I noticed about veterans in my nearly 20 years of doing this, y'all very good at making sure that you pay your rent on time like rock stars. That's the one thing that I notice. I think it's a cultural thing with military, right?
Well, I was doing some reading that it's like the veterans are 25-30% less likely to default on their home loan than like any other demographic in the country.
Oh yeah, they will. If you wanted to look at stats, the default foreclosure rate for VA home loans across the U.S. is equal to what a conforming non-veteran loan is, like a Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac type loan. Okay, they're almost identical. So average down payment for a non-veteran loan is about 20 to 25%, right? Average FICO score, credit score, is about a 780, okay? But there's those loans don't foreclose generally, right? Now you compare it to a VA loan. In 2019, the average FICO score for a veteran was about a 707, 710, okay? Average down payment for a purchase was 100% financing, no down payment, right? And average liquidity for conforming loans is sometimes up in the 70 to 90,000 range. Average amount of assets liquidity for a veteran in 2019 was about 21,000. Now that's not a lot of money. It sounds like a lot, but it's not. That's a combination of checking, savings, 401k, TSP, things like that, right? So not a lot of money. So veterans are buying houses with no down payment, no skin in the game, as lenders or some people call it. No private mortgage insurance. Yes, there's a VA guarantee on that, but they don't default. They have a lower FICO score by 80 points. They have less money in the bank, and they're buying houses with no down payment. And one would say that's a worse loan because there's no skin in the game. There's no down payment, lower credit scores, less money in the bank, but those loans don't foreclose and don't default. Same way as non-veteran loans. So when someone argues to me that, oh, gee, Rick, people with down payments, those loans perform better. I call BS on those. It's absolutely not true, especially when you're comparing VA. And I think, it's different to say about Federal Housing Administration, FHA, or USDA loans. That's different. Veterans, I think a lot of it has to do with your culture, how you were trained, how you were brought up, just in general, the way that you guys think. You guys were trained to not lose. You guys were trained to win all the time, take care of your family. And I think that shows in the way that the VA loans perform. You guys always pay your bills on time. I mean, you might have 5 repossessions on your credit for car loans, right? But that rent, $2,000, $2,500, $3,000, whatever it is, that rent is always paid on time. And that mortgage is always paid on time. So when we're looking with that credit score type situation to kind of circle back, it's like when you have a 580, 585, don't expect to get a house. But you earned the right to apply for it. So let's look at what are the compensate. What do you have? Well, look, I don't have any debt. I've been rebuilding. The reason for my default and my bad credit was I had PTSD. I had surgery that was related to my military service or something to that effect. The story. They call the VA loan a story loan for a reason. It's a story loan because the Veterans Administration does not want to say no to you guys. They want to say yes as often as possible, but you got to give them a reason to say yes. Can't say, I don't know, for 2 years, I just didn't want to pay bills. I just didn't like that anymore. Okay, well, I'm not going to give you a $500,000 loan because you just decided not to pay bills. But if, Johnny Jojo, poor veteran, that he might have had TBI, he might have had a PTSD issue. There was a Dear John letter that came, he was deployed and came home. Tons of scenarios. But if you've shown, hey, I've been on time the last 9 months, 12 months, and my scores haven't come up, I've saved up a little bit of money, I pay my rent on time, and my work history is good, that's a loan that we'll take a look at. We'll say, all right, can't get you a $350,000 house today. I can find, we can counter and qualify you at 225 because you have all these compensating factors. So most lenders will stop at a 620. There's some lenders that will go down to a 580, but just expect lots of paperwork, lots of explanations, lots of letters of explanation. Be sure to verify your rental history for 24 months. And, it's a bit gnarly, but if you're willing to put the work in, we're willing to put the time in too.